Tyson Bagent brings the Bears to their first home game win in over a year. Is he the quarterback going forward? Is he QB1? We're going to deep dive into it. I'm Alexis Jade, and this is the Shecago Bears. The Bears have won. The Bears have finally won a home game for the first time in over a year. It's been a long time coming. Obviously, we've had a win this season, one, but we finally have won at home, which has not happened, like I've already said, in over a year. So it has been a warm welcome. I'm glad for everyone who was in attendance for the Bears game today that they got to actually see a win on our home turf for once. And it was a good game. It wasn't a win that we just narrowly escaped by. It was a deserved, well-executed win by the Shecago Bears in this offense and defense, to be honest. And overall, it was a very good team win by the Shecago Bears that was definitely needed in a time when Bears fans were feeling very just depleted and upset after that Minnesota game. So we're going to dive into it. Now, obviously, we can't even talk about today's game without beginning with Tyson Bagent. Tyson Bagent was the starting quarterback going into today's game, obviously with Justin Fields injured right now with his right thumb. If you're unfamiliar, Tyson Bagent is our rookie backup quarterback. He is coming from Shepherd University, which is a Division II school, and was making his first NFL start today against the Las Vegas Raiders. Tyson did get some playing time when he came in for an injured Justin Fields against the Minnesota game. Didn't have that great of a game, but he came back full swing into this game against the Raiders and had a great game for himself. Now, his overall stats was 162 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and he completed 21 out of 29 pass attempts. Overall, it was a pretty effective game from Tyson Bagent. I mean, you can't really have much criticism or much to complain about. Obviously, he had his rookie moments. Nothing too actually severe or notable that you can even bring up in terms of rookie moments. Overall, he looked very poised, very confident, and very competent, and he executed as he needed to. Obviously, the stat line is nothing to write home about, and overall, the game, there was no big crazy wow moment to write home about either. That is not to take away from his win or how he performed, just saying there was obviously nothing that really stuck out that was like, wow, this was an amazing deep shot downfield, or he really read the defense well on this one. There was no moments like that. He just had a game where he did what he was asked, and he did it well, and he managed being the quarterback, managing time, managing the players, managing the play calls. He did it all well. And the biggest takeaway is he got the ball out quick, which was huge for this game plan that we went into today. I think overall, Tyson Bagent played well with the short game. He got rid of the ball quick. He distributed the ball, and he was very effective in the short passing game, the screens, and the running plays. He had a few scrambles here and there, which was nice to see, a little nod to Justin Fields. But overall, there was nothing too extravagant. He didn't have any deep shots downfield. As a matter of fact, the coaching staff had Nathan Peterman come in for the final Hail Mary to end the pass. I actually really did not like how that was executed from the coaching staff. I'm not sure what the decision to play conservative was to end the second half. I actually ran a poll on my Twitter. If you're not following, that's Miss Alexis Jade. I'm Alexis Jade. I did a poll on my Twitter to say, do you think Luke Getsy and Eberflus are going to punch the ball down and go for the touchdown, or do you think they're going to go conservative? And the majority of the votes were actually that they were going to go for the touchdown. They did not. They went conservative, and they had 3 timeouts, and they didn't call one. Don't know why. At 4th and whatever it was, they decided to throw Nathan Peterman in with like 5 seconds left on the clock to chuck a Hail Mary down the field. After the game, Tyson Bagent came out and said that he has a cannon for an arm. So I'm not really entirely sure why Nathan Peterman was sent out to throw that ball downfield. However, I will say in the previous game against Minnesota, we saw Tyson Bagent struggle with hitting the deep shots. So was that a one-off? Is that an issue with Tyson Bagent? It's really hard to say. We don't know enough right now to say that, but I would say it's a concern. Now, obviously, the win came mainly from the ground attack. The Shecago Bears had a great running game this game. Foreman and Evans had the 1-2 punch with Herbert and Johnson out, we resorted to our backup running backs. And lucky for us, we have Foreman as a backup running back. And man, did he show out. He had a great game, 2 rushing touchdowns and a touchdown reception in the end zone. He just had a great game. He did a freaking Josh Allen hurdle over someone. It was great. He looked amazing. Evans also looked really good. He was really plowing through people and pushing and fighting for those first downs. I think overall this offense really succeeded because of the ground game, which allowed our short passing game to really open up and allow our play action to open up a little bit. Now, part of me can only imagine what would have happened if Fields was in to have that play action open up. However, I also don't know if Fields would have gotten the ball as quickly, but that's a whole different thing. But needless to say, the play calling overall, we have to, as much as we criticize Luke Getsy when it's deserved, we also have to acknowledge when he calls a good game. And he called a good game today. It was like Luke Getsy finally remembered that the Shecago Bears had the best rushing offense last year in the NFL. And that came to play today without our starting running backs in. So if that says anything about our running game, use it. Now, to have a good running game, you need a good offensive line. The Shecago Bears had that. The Shecago Bears offensive line, for as mixed up as it got with Nate Davis being out and Darnell Wright having an injury and everything else that was going on, our offensive line looked kind of put together with Tevin and Darnell Wright next to each other. I feel like I want to see another few games of that. But overall, I mean, they looked kind of like a force to be reckoned with. With the passing game and the running game, they weren't really allowing much pressure. Now, that being said, we obviously didn't take that many shots downfield, if any, actually. We didn't really take any shots downfield besides the Hail Mary where Nathan Peterman went in. So we haven't really seen the offensive line or Tyson Bagent be able to take the opportunity to try to hit something that takes a little longer to develop. So that's kind of still up in the air on what that will eventually look like. And of course, we have to acknowledge that we were playing the Raiders, which does not have a very good defense. Crosby had very little effect on this game, surprisingly. I thought he was going to be all over the Bears offensive line and Tyson Bagent, and somehow he was a non-factor in this game, which is pretty impressive on the Bears end. But luckily, he had no impact on the game, and there's really no one else on the Raiders that really has much of a chance against opposing offenses. So because of that, the offense was able to get in a rhythm and just keep marching down the field. Now, that is not to take away from what Tyson Bagent did in his first NFL game as a starter. He played great, he got the ball, he distributed, and he got the win, which is great. But overall, I think the credit really goes to the team. I think it was an overall team win. The defense played great, the offense played great. Tyson had a good game as his first game in the NFL, and I think you couldn't really ask for anything better. Now, like I just previously mentioned, you can't talk about the win without talking about the defense. The defense looked pretty good last week against Minnesota and came back and had another good game today. So now with this Bears team, it's always too soon to tell, so I'm not going to speak too soon. However, I will say this Bears defense, I should say, looked pretty competent today. They got a lot of stops on third down. The secondary was a beast today. I mean, we were not allowing much through the air. It would help if we could finally get to the quarterback and get a pass rush, which we did not do and still have struggles doing. However, our secondary was looking sharp. Jalen Johnson had a game. He did have a few pass interference calls on him. However, I'm not really going to hold that much to him because, to be honest, a lot of those pass interference calls really were kind of petty. Some of them were deserved. Some of them were, I mean, he barely touched the guy, and it was really a ticky-tacky call. So I'm not going to hold too much of it on him for those, but he did have 2 takeaways in a game. I don't even know the last time Jalen Johnson had an interception, and he had a pick 6 and a game-sealing interception against the Raiders. All of that to say, pay the man his due. He is in his contract year. He is fighting for a contract. He wants to stay with the Bears. He wants to be a Bear. Honestly, at this point, I know there's talks of potentially trading him, but why would you get rid of a good cornerback when they're so hard to find? Honestly, I think we keep Jalen Johnson, lock him down, do not trade him at the deadline. That's my hope, and we pay him. I don't even think he's expecting top cornerback money, which only works in our favor. So in my opinion, keep Jalen Johnson, do not trade him, and I hope to see him on the Bears after this trade deadline ends and after the season ends, but we are yet to see what happened. But this game was definitely a really good game for Jalen Johnson to have leading into the trade deadline. But like I said, overall, this was a great team win by the Bears. The Bears did defeat the Raiders 30-12. So my prediction was way off. The Bears came away with the win. And honestly, as a Bears fan, I couldn't be happier. I don't care who's in at quarterback. I'm just glad we won the damn game. Now, going into our next segment with news around the NFL, I'm actually going to start with the Bears. There was a reason I didn't bring up Justin Fields on the previous segment, and that is because I'm going to talk about it right now. Let me be clear. Tyson had a good game, but Justin Fields is still the starting quarterback of the Shecago Bears. I know this is going to make its way around the headlines around the NFL, and this little guy from Shepherd University is going to come in and take Justin Fields' job. No. Look, Tyson had a good game. Do not get me wrong. I'm not discrediting him that way. However, Justin Fields is definitely still the quarterback that has the most upside of the two. He is the Bears starting quarterback, and the Bears won today. Tyson looked great. Now, don't get me wrong. Tyson gets rid of the ball quick, and that is a flaw of Justin Fields as of late, where he struggles to get the ball out quick and he freezes. I still will counter argue that I don't think that Tyson Bagent sees the field better than Fields. Tyson Bagent was doing 1 to 2 reads max in the plays, which you can see in the tape, and that's fine. He's a rookie quarterback coming in, and they're trying to get him in a rhythm. Most of his was screens and dump off passes and first read hitches, and that's okay. But do not mistake Bagent getting rid of the ball quickly as reading the field better than Justin Fields, because I don't think that's the case. When you watch Justin Fields, he is getting through his progressions, and I don't want to turn this into a Fields versus Bagent thing, because you can be glad that the Bears have a starting quarterback and the Bears have Tyson Bagent as a really good backup quarterback. I think that the Bears, even though I question the Bears coaching staff, I do think the fact they threw Nathan Peterman in to throw the Hail Mary for the second half is kind of telling of what they think of Tyson Bagent and his arm strength. And it was a knock in his scouting report that he didn't have quite the arm strength to make it. Now, I could be totally wrong, and he could go out next week if he plays and show us a deep pass downfield. However, that clearly was not in the plan for this week, and it does make me wonder, is he even capable of that? And also, you have to acknowledge that this play design, this concept really worked well because of the Bears finally establishing a run game, and it's something I wish we could have done against Minnesota and something I wish we would have done all the previous games Justin Fields was starting. But needless to say, Tyson had a great game, but Justin Fields is still the number one quarterback on the Bears roster, and he will have the starting quarterback position when he gets back on the field. Matt Eberflus was even asked by media, which I kind of think is ridiculous at this point, and he confirmed Justin Fields is our starting quarterback, Bagent is our backup. I don't think you need any more proof than that. And I know Bears fans love to see a success story, especially now that the Brock Purdy thing happened, right? The Bears love a good backup quarterback, and our backup quarterback came out and showed out today. But please do not get fooled by one good game. I'm not saying Tyson didn't have a good game or he won't have more if he continues to play. But there's a difference in what he's doing versus what Fields is doing, and I do not want to get in comparisons. But I think one game of succeeding and winning a game based off of screens and a good established run game doesn't necessarily mean that he's cut out to be the number one quarterback on the roster. Justin Fields went number 11 in the draft for a reason. Tyson Bagent went undrafted for a reason. Justin Fields is the starter for a reason, and Tyson Bagent is the backup for a reason. It's not worth trying to have an argument of who the starting quarterback is right now. And I think when Justin Fields is healthy, he comes back in and he is our starter. And until proven otherwise, that is just what it's going to be. And we support both our quarterbacks, but especially when Justin Fields is back, I better hear people just as excited for Justin Fields as they were for Tyson Bagent. That's just my opinion. Now that we got that out of the way, Justin Fields is still the number one quarterback for the Bears. Justin Fields injury report. This is still NFL news, but this ties into the Bears, so I'm kind of segueing it here. Justin Fields news came out that he is not expected to go on IR, and he is not expected to need surgery, which means he is expected to come back within the next few weeks. My suspicion, if I'm being honest, is that he's back next week for the Chargers game. solely because that they did not take it off a primetime spot, which makes me think that they kind of already knew Justin Fields might be back by then. Now, at the game today, he did look like he had a very obvious wrap on his hand. However, it looked like he just had some tape and a removable cast on his right thumb to keep it still. It did not look like he was in a permanent hand cast or anything of the sort. And the reports are saying that the swelling has significantly gone down. He has his grip strength back, and he is able to grip the ball better again. So I wouldn't be surprised if he starts against the Chargers this upcoming week. However, I also think it would be wise to give him another week to heal up, and we see him the following week. And I think that might be the best scenario for him. But either way, Justin Fields' injury news so far is sounding pretty good, and he was on the field today watching Tyson Bagent, so that all looks good. And I'm hoping Fields has a speedy recovery here, and we see him back on the practice field soon and in the game soon, because Bears fans miss him. As much as I love the Tyson Bagent experience and I like watching a young quarterback develop, I think we all really need to know, is Justin Fields the starting quarterback for 2024? And we're only going to know if he gets back in the game. So I think this is all good news for Bears fans, and we'll cheer Justin Fields on when he gets back in the game. Now, this is going to be brought up again in the next segment for the NFC North prediction. However, I do just have to say that this just makes my heart happy. The Bears and Lions both lost today, and the Lions, NFL news, got blown out by the Ravens. An unexpected loss for the Lions that ruins their record, and they were 5-1, and now they're 5-2. The Lions have lost and brutally lost to the Ravens. We will get into that in the next segment, but my prediction was way off. So I just thought that deserved a little breaking news segment for the NFL news of the week. The Lions, the leaders in our division, totally blown out by the Ravens. And of course, this is NFL news because when isn't it nowadays? But Taylor Swift was, of course, present for the Chiefs game versus the Chargers, and she got to celebrate with Travis Kelce and the rest of the Chiefs with the Chiefs win over the Chargers. Good for Taylor Swift, good for the NFL, love the promotion, all of that's going on, and love she's having a good time off tour. And you know what? I would love to be able to go to any of these football games, so I'm jealous. And if anyone was wondering, breaking news of the week, Taylor Swift was in attendance for the Chiefs game this week. Other news, Deshaun Watson went down with an injury during the game today. He did end up getting checked out and cleared from concussion protocol. However, he never came back in the game, so I'm not entirely sure what that means. I'm not sure if that means, they still wanted to be cautious or they didn't want him starting. I'm not really sure. But needless to say, he did not get back in the game. So Deshaun Watson could potentially be out with concussion, but it sounds like we are just uncertain. And either way, Deshaun Watson did not play the rest of the game, and he had 2 interceptions before he went out with injury. So take that as you will. And in another surprising win, the Patriots beat the Bills today. Obviously, the Patriots were underdogs in this game, but the Patriots came out on top and beat the Bills, who are fighting for playoff and Super Bowl contention this year. And the Patriots have been absolutely terrible. So the Patriots came away with the win in an upset win today against the Bills. Now, speaking of wins and losses, that brings us into our final segment, which is our NFC North post and preview. So let's summarize what went on in the NFC North this week. Obviously, already talked about it a little bit, but let's dive into it quickly. First off, I just want to say all my predictions were wrong. All of them. I think every single prediction I picked for this week was wrong, and the score was completely off, besides maybe the Packers game is maybe the closest, but either way, my prediction, way off, and clearly I should not make bets on these types of games, is all I gotta say. Now, like I said earlier, the Lions lost 38-6 to the Ravens. Like I said, I think in my previous podcast, the Ravens are kind of hard to predict because 1 minute they have an offense that's doing pretty well, 1 minute they don't, and their defense is kind of meh. Well, the Ravens offense and defense got the best of the Lions today, and they whooped the Lions' butt, which only benefits us in our favor and just knocks them down a peg in the division standings. Although I don't think the Bears are really fighting for a chance in the division, it still feels good nonetheless. I also feel like it might show that the Lions maybe aren't as good as everyone thinks they are. Well, let's be real. Us in the NFC North know the Lions aren't competing for a Super Bowl this year, but I think the Lions think they are. But I think this game kind of showed that I'm not sure if they can truly compete with the big dogs yet. But I also don't want to jinx it and have the Lions go to the Super Bowl, so I guess we'll see. Now, the game that makes me the most happy, the Packers lost. Yes, they lost to the Broncos. The Packers lost 19-17 to the Broncos. I was actually at the bar and watched this game, and I was so happy. Let me tell you, I was so happy. I listened to a guy next to me cheering when the accidental touchdown happened for the Packers, but they still ended up losing the game. Now, obviously, as Bears fans, we can't judge too much because we lost the game against the Broncos. However, we looked much more competent on offense, and Justin Fields had a great game against the Broncos. So, not looking good for the Packers to have two bad games back to back. I find it kind of hard to believe that they're going to suddenly bounce back and be this dominating team, especially because the two teams they've lost against, the Raiders and the Broncos, are two really not good teams and teams that the Bears should have won against the Broncos, considering we were up by 20 points at the half. And we beat the Raiders with 30 points. So it's not a good sign for the Packers, which is only a good sign for us. However, I will say the Packers, I feel like, are going to slowly start to slip in the rankings, especially if the Bears can put together a few more wins. With our play calling and our coaching, I really don't know. It's so hard to predict our own team if we're going to come away with a win or not. However, if we can get a few more wins on the books, we might end up at least beating the Packers in the division and potentially the Vikings, because the Vikings are also not a good team. So to get second place in the division and fight for a wild card spot might not be that crazy if the Bears can really turn things around still. We won't get very far. We're still not a good football team. But it's kind of crazy to think that all the teams in the NFL and in our division are that bad this year. The Bears still potentially could fight for a division playoff spot. But that's jumping way ahead of us, but just saying that's still technically a possibility, and kind of crazy at this point that is. The Vikings play the 49ers on Monday. Now, obviously, I don't have the score now, but I will be posting it right here. So we'll make a little icon right there for what the score ended up being. Obviously, I predicted the Vikings to lose that because the 49ers are the much better team on offense and defense. I will be shocked if the 49ers, or if the Vikings come away with the win, so hopefully they don't. And if that's the case, and that stays true, the Bears will be the only team in the NFC North that won a game this week, which does bump us up in the standings. And if we continue to go forward and make a few wins, bumps us up in the rankings in the NFC North. And like I said, playoff potential, I don't know. That's getting a little ahead of ourselves. But either way, it could be a great week for the Bears. Now, I want to take this moment before I get into my predictions for next week to say, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment and please subscribe, because it means a lot. And commenting is very good for the algorithm. It lets people know that you like the video. So I really appreciate it if you comment. And if you do comment, please let me know, what were your thoughts on Tyson Bagent and how the Bears performed this week on offense, and how did you think the rookie quarterback performed? Let me know in the comments below. I'll read them. I'll reply to them. I always do, and I really appreciate everyone's input. Thank you. Now, getting into my predictions for next week. First up, we have the Lions versus the Raiders, and I have this as a win for the Lions. I have this as a win, 23-16. Obviously, the Lions just got their butt kicked. However, we just beat the Raiders. So if the Lions can't beat the Raiders, then either the Bears had some crazy fluke or the Lions are just suddenly trash. So I do anticipate the Lions to win this game. And I don't anticipating it being a crazy high-scoring game. It could be on the Lions' part, especially if they get their crap together after this loss. However, it's really hard to say at this point, so I just went with a closer scoring game of 23-16. So we'll see what comes and transpires from that. But coming off the Lions blowout loss, I'm going to kind of lower expectations, but I still expect them to win this game. And honestly, maybe I could have put the points higher for the Lions. We have an NFC North Division showdown in the Packers versus the Vikings. Which NFC North team gets the win? Well, simply based on track record, I had to pick the Vikings for this game. There's no sugarcoating it. The Packers have been not good lately. Like I've already said, they played two not great teams and they've lost both games in poor fashion, especially in offense. So going into this game, I expect Minnesota's heavy blitz defense to really struggle or to really cause Jordan Love to struggle. And I expect Matt LaFleur to kind of struggle to get guys open downfield. I do expect them to take some deep shots downfield. However, that is Jordan Love's weakness. He connects on some, but most he is not the most accurate on. So if they can get pressure to him, I expect this to be a game that the Vikings could win. And Kirk Cousins, all he has to do is just slice and dice against this Packers defense, and he can slowly move the ball down the field, get a few field goals, get a touchdown or two, and they win the game. So that being said, I have the Vikings winning 24-16 against the Packers, which means there is another win in our division, but the Packers also lose, which just is the best of both worlds. Now, obviously, Packers versus Vikings, so there's no second prediction here. Like I already said, all the reasons why, so therefore we'll kind of skip around, but that's my predictions for our NFC North showdown of the week. Now, finally, the moment we've all been waiting for, the Shecago Bears versus the Chargers. And I have this as a, drumroll please, that's my pen on my notepad, win for the Shecago Bears. Now, don't get me wrong, hold on, before everyone panics. I know I'm not getting too high on my high horse with the Bears finally winning a game again, and now suddenly I think the Bears are going to play really great against the Chargers. I almost put this one as a loss. The only reason I didn't is the Chargers have really been struggling this year, and they had a really bad game against the Chiefs today. I honestly feel like this is kind of a team similar to the Raiders, and if we can beat the Raiders and score 30 points on them, I kind of think we could do it against the Chargers. Now, I could be totally wrong here, but that's kind of my prediction going into the week, and I really think the Chargers offense has been struggling, and no matter who's in at quarterback, Bagent or Justin Fields, I think we can succeed. To be honest, I think we'll succeed better if Justin Fields is in, because now that teams might have some tape on Tyson Bagent, they know that the short game, screens, and quick passing game is going to be what we're going to aim to do. So if Tyson can't throw it downfield, then we're really going to run into a pickle of our play options to run. Best case scenario is Justin Fields is back in and is able to also slice and dice against this Chargers team. We'll find out, but no matter who's in at quarterback, I still think we can get enough to win this game. I actually already have this one circled as a winnable game, so the fact that the Chargers are still not playing that great and we just beat the Raiders the way we did, I think this is a winnable game for the Bears, and I'm going to take the high horse here, writing off the win we already have, and I might regret this later. I'm taking the win. I almost took it as a loss, but I'm just biting the bullet and taking the win here. I have the Bears winning 27-17. I think the Chargers offense is going to struggle. Our pass rush isn't great. However, secondary is starting to improve and our defense as a whole is starting to improve. So if that continues, I do expect the Chargers to struggle against our defense. And if we can hold them to around 17 points, then the Bears should be able to score enough on offense to secure us this win. So that has been my NFC North predictions for the week. And that puts us the Bears as another win, and we'll see what happens. But overall, I think the game was great today. I think the Bears have potential to go ahead and win another game against the Chargers, but hopefully I'm not getting excited too soon. But overall, I'm pleasantly surprised with the game today. I hope for a speedy recovery for Justin Fields. And if you like the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and please comment down below what you liked about Tyson Bagent. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Alexis Jade, and this has been the Shecago Bears.